how many of you have heard of Glycemic Index? Before you came here. I know this morning you all, there is a big banner here saying Glycemic Index. But before this, how many of you have heard of this term? Okay, I think each table I hardly can see not even one person. Or have you tasted any low GI foods before? Have you tasted a low GI food before? Or you're from Soyjoy? Which one is it? Soyjoy. Other than Soyjoy, have you tasted anything? No. I think every day actually we all, without knowing or unknowingly, we eat a lot of low GI foods. So you cannot tell me that, okay, there is no low GI food, so I'm not able to eat. So let us look at what is low GI, why we need low GI concept, and the reason why I came all the way from Singapore is not because Soyjoy invited me, that's the major reason, but again I will not just go anywhere and speak, any company invites, no. Because I am from an education institution, so I have to also make decisions where to speak and what to speak. I cannot just promote certain companies and so on. But when Soyjoy extended this invitation, without any second thought I said yes, I'll come and speak, is because I believe in the concept of Glycemic Index. Glycemic Index works, and I am a practitioner of Glycemic Index, as well as I can give you very good examples of how when you follow a Glycemic Index diet, you can even prevent obesity, manage diabetes, prevent diabetes as well. So I'll give case studies and so on in my talk. So in between, when you have any doubts, please stop me, and it can be like a dialogue session rather than a monologue. Okay, the first is when you look at this, I think it rings a bell. Which city is this? Jakarta. And yesterday, actually, this is we are staying right here. The first slide on the left is Mandarin Hotel. You can just facing the fountain. And to just get there, we spent 3 hours yesterday from the airport, going round and round. And I think I ate my lunch at 12. Did not have anything. Maybe in the flight a little bit of like a small meal. And so at 6 o'clock, actually my colleagues were my friends from Soyjoy were asking me, "Are you really hungry?" Then I said, "No, I'm okay. I'm all right. I can manage," and so on. So, but actually, how did I survive the hunger pangs is because when I got into the car, they said, "Why don't you try the Soyjoy strawberry flavor?" Because we don't have the strawberry flavor in Singapore. So I ate that, and that's why until I think when I reached the restaurant to have dinner, it was 7:30, 8, did not have any sign of hunger. I'm not just telling this, but it's the truth. I think in front of you have certain pieces, you try this. I think no one will take the tea today. Okay, the outline of my presentation is, I think you have some slides with you. You can more or less have covered the same thing. It is Glycemic Index, the concepts and controversies. Yes, any new thing which is introduced, there will be a lot of controversy. Okay, people understand the concept, but there is one group which also challenges, does it really work? So I'll be going through the concept as well as controversies, and what is the science-based or evidence-based research to prove Glycemic Index? How do you apply that in practical meal planning? See, we can talk for hours together, but can you put that into practice? And I know here there are a lot of nutritionists. When you counsel people, will you be able to use that for your counseling? So, and also what is the current recommendations? So this is again a very popular supermarket store in Singapore, and even worldwide, even in Indonesia you can have this. So when you walk through the aisles of any supermarket store, nowadays what do you see? Do you really see, everywhere you see is, this is, if you can see clearly, it's low sugar, and then you can see Zero Coke, Sprite Zero, and then Skinny Pop, which is a popcorn, they say there's no fat, okay? And then you also have sugar-free, like brownies or snacks, and everything is, something is low, and this is 0-calorie dressing, ranch dressing. So 0 calorie means what is in there? Do you really want to eat that? Okay, and again, this is, I got this product from Canada, which is, they say no fat, it's called as crap. It actually tastes like crap. Okay, so you have all these things. But again, are we solving the problem of obesity? See, whatever you have, everything is low or no. Okay, anything you pick up, I think it's very hard to even to eat the real food. So even with all these products, what are consumers really looking for? They're all in constant search of real food, which I think is very hard to find from now on. Anything will be low fat, something will be changed. You will not get the natural food. And also, the one thing consumers are also constantly in search of in Asia is low GI. I recently went for the International Congress of Dietetics to Sydney, Australia. When you go into the Sydney supermarkets, you can see so many low GI products. But even in Singapore, we don't have. The one product which is on the shelves is Soyjoy, and we have some of the breakfast bars from Australia. Okay, but not very few products. So we are developing low GI products as well as promoting the low GI concept to Singapore. So without the science or without evidence-based research, do you think a government will promote the concept? So with this itself, I think I have given you the answer. If there is a lot of, something is not true, a government will not fund 300,000 to promote a concept. Okay, now this again is the current trends when you see. On the left, you can see a lot of fruits, vegetables. That's the real food, which we were all eating. But currently what we have is all processed foods on the right, and still the chronic disease risk is constantly increasing. These processed foods may be low fat, low sodium and all this, but still the disease risk has never come down. Every country, every year when you look at the statistics, health statistics, the disease risks are going high. What is the reason is, one thing is 95% of all the chronic diseases are caused by food choice. And the food choice is made by you and me. Okay, does every morning someone come and tell you, sorry, you don't make this choice? Do they tell you? No. You have to make the choice. It's within your hands whether you're choosing it right. So you need to know what you're eating. So in this case, what is wrong is, when you remove the fat, you have to add something. For example, it's a low-fat milk. I'm removing fat. I cannot just take 20% fat, give just 80% of the product. People will not buy. You have to replace something. When you remove sugar, you have to add something. Okay? So what is added will be lot of starches. Okay? Cereal flours, even tapioca starch, potato starch, modified starches are added into your products. And these starches are nothing but your carbohydrates. So the carbohydrate is the culprit. When you don't add the right type of carbohydrate, and that's where the problem of obesity comes. So when you talk about carbohydrates, you talk about glycemic index. This again, I think you all have seen how nutrition is promoted. Previously it was in the pyramid form. Worldwide many countries use pyramid. Now US also uses plate after President Obama launched the My Plate. I think you all are familiar with the plate concept. And then as per the plate concept, you have quarter of your plate should be carbohydrates, little bit of protein, and then your fruit and vegetable. All the fruit can come outside your plate. But when you look at this, what are we promoting? We always say remove fat, remove sugar. We think if a product has very high fat, it's very bad. We never think of carbohydrates. The carbohydrate is the base. That is a major portion of what Asians eat. Anytime we eat a lot of carbo. But are we really thinking what type of carbohydrate are we eating? The quality of carbohydrates or the glycemic index is never given a thought. That is the reason why we are not able to control obesity as well as the chronic diseases. So why is assessing your quality important? Let's say, I think being a lot of ladies here, majority, any conference I go, if it's nutrition or anything associated with health, mostly women come forward. So which is actually, I'm very proud. We are the gatekeepers of health. So when you look at it, we spend hours together to choose what to wear, how to put on our makeup, and even when it comes to diamond, we know clarity, the quality of diamonds. We look at E color, G color, so many things we do. But do we really give importance to what we eat? We don't, when you talk to any women, morning, the time they spent on dressing themselves up is more than the time spent on choosing the right foods to eat. That is the reality. Especially when we all start working, we don't spend time to really look at what we eat. So the quality is important. What is the good measure of quality? Anyone, can you answer these questions? There are 3 things to measure quality. Anyone? You can raise your hands and you can answer. There are 3 things to measure carbohydrate quality. What is the first one which you all know? How do you decide whether this particular carbohydrate is good or bad? I think Soyjoy will give you some gifts, if you answer the question. No? Okay, the first is dietary fiber. I think this was in 1960s, dietary fiber was promoted. It took almost 30 years for people to realize the importance of dietary fiber. Only now, you're all convinced, yes, dietary fiber is good. Before that, they were not convinced. They said if you eat too much of fiber, it will block your intestines and people will die. Initial days. But now everyone knows dietary fiber is good. The next one, complex versus simple. This again is to judge the quality. Which is better, complex or simple? Complex, okay? So this again, we all know that complex carbohydrates are better. Nothing is easy, If you want your stomach to work hard, you have to give some exercise to your stomach. You have to eat complex carbohydrates. The next is, the last one is glycemic index. This is a new concept. I can say it's a pretty new concept because glycemic index was discovered only in 1981. Compared to carbohydrates were discovered much earlier, 1800s, when nutrition was discovered, carbohydrates came in. Then dietary fiber, complex versus simple. The latest one, 1981, is glycemic index. So this again, that's why still people are not aware of what is glycemic index. So we look at what is glycemic index. I think whatever Microsoft PowerPoint version I used and whatever is on this, the formatting has changed, sorry about that. So in the case of glycemic index, it is the degree to which carbohydrates in different foods will raise the blood sugar, or you can call it blood glucose levels. And we compare this raise with a standard food or the reference food, that is glucose. Okay, here glycemic index refers only to carbohydrates. So the major thing is you can test only carbohydrates. You eat a food, whether you are able to release the sugar faster or slower, that is glycemic index. G-L-Y means glucose in Greek, because all our medical terms are from Greek and Latin. So G-L-Y refers to glucose, emic refers to blood, E-M-I-C means, the meaning is blood. That is why anemia, emia is blood. So glycemic is nothing but glucose levels in your blood, and index is a measurement. Okay, so the measurement scale is from 0 to 100. Okay, but 100 is not the max. We have tested certain foods have a glycemic index of 107. So you can see even we are able to break down foods faster than glucose. Okay, so we can see what are the implications of it. So I again repeat, it is just how it raises your blood sugar level after eating certain food. And how do we do glycemic index testing? Again, the science. It is not just we can just plug in numbers. The science behind it. First thing is, because it's a human study, we need to get ethics approval. Okay, from the Human Ethics Board, we will tell them, yeah, we are using humans. Then recruitment of healthy volunteers. We do glycemic index testing. It is done by finger prick blood samples. For every test, every food to be tested, we need around 380 finger pricks in a group of people. And tested for glucose. And after that, what we do is we plot a curve and we get a value. And this is, it takes almost every day we test a few foods, 2 hours to look at do the curve. And in order to do one food, each person should visit the laboratory in a fasting state 4 times, 4 to 5 times. So doing the GI of a food is not easy. It is very time consuming, and also to maintain volunteers, because they have to be willing to be pricked 8 times within 2 hours. So it's not easy for us to get volunteers and do the study. So ours is the first GI testing facility in the region. As well as in the entire Asia, I can say ours is the first accredited testing facility. We test foods from all over the world. We receive products from China, Japan, Europe, as well as Australia. So we look at the classification of GI. I always use the traffic light symbol because it's easier to communicate to the public. When the number is greater than or equivalent to 70, after testing, when the GI value is this, then that's called as high GI. When it's lower than 55, then it's called as low GI. The medium category, 56 to 69, is actually, it's like the cat on the wall. We try to choose foods in the low GI category. Little bit you can go into the medium, but not high. And this again, how do we do is, we can also see this graph. This is exactly, when we test it, you can exactly get this graph. In the case of a high GI, it peaks up, medium, intermediate is slightly moderate, and the low GI you can see, when you look at the green arrow, you can see here, the arrow mark, after 3 hours it still goes on. Means there is a sustained release of energy. And this evidently, we see it in almost many low GI products we test compared to glucose. You can see at 1.5 to 2 hours you drink a glass of glucose, you'll be very hungry because glucose is a simple sugar, gets digested faster. But even that gets digested faster than glucose is jasmine rice. You can see it's digested faster than glucose. Okay, now let's look at examples of low GI. In the case of a green apple or red apple, is it high or low in GI? This is a very simple question. Low. Why do you think it's low? Fiber. Okay, she said it's fiber. Yeah, that may be right or wrong, I don't know. Any other reason? Is it only the fiber? Okay, high fiber bread. Is it low or high in GI? No. High fiber bread is still high in GI. I'll let you know why. So her answer is right in a way that apple is a miracle fruit. See, apple is the only fruit which has a very good proportion of different types of fibers. It has soluble fiber inside the flesh and insoluble fiber outside. The soluble fiber is mainly pectin. It forms a gel. It thickens. When you eat it along with any food, it forms a gel in your stomach, so it releases the sugar slowly. And apple also has fructose. The sugar in apple is mainly fructose. That is a low GI sugar. And apple has malic acid. That also slows down digestion. You see, everything is in one fruit. You have all these combinations. That is the reason why many years ago everyone says, and eat an apple a day keeps the doctor away. It's not just for the saying, it's the truth. It's also very high in vitamin C as well, but you have to eat with the skin on. If you peel the skin, your vitamin C is gone. Okay, so it is a low GI fruit, whether it's red or green, it is low GI. Or when you get your apples from Australia or US, it is still low GI. Okay, now when you look at the high GI foods, okay, the examples, the first example here is glutinous rice. I think we all love to eat quays made of glutinous rice, desserts made of glutinous rice. The GI can range from 90 to 121. Can you see some people, when I tested, they can break down very fast, even faster than the standard, which is glucose. And we Asians, when I test that in Caucasians, it is different. Because Asians, the way we chew rice is different to Caucasians. So the GI is much higher. And the next one when you see is white bread, high GI. The bread's GI, we tested at least 10 types of bread. Everything is from 70 to 80. Nothing is low GI. Then jasmine rice, different varieties of jasmine rice. Also the rice in Indonesia. The rice in Indonesia is not jasmine rice, but Indonesian rice is also high GI. It's a bit sticky. It stays together. So it's high GI. And your sugar candies and cornflakes, all your breakfast cereals are high GI. Okay, so most of the time, breakfast, we want to eat something very fast and go, so we eat breakfast cereals. All the breakfast cereals are high GI. Even though you buy, unless otherwise you eat muesli. You know muesli, which is M-U-E-S-L-I, which is lot of bran and everything, that is low GI. But in order to eat a high bran breakfast, you need to sit down, spend time, you have to chew many times before you swallow. So what we do is we want to make it fast, so we eat and go. And also when you choose bread, you take a piece of bread. I think I should have taken a piece of bread from the restaurant. You try to just shake your bread like this. If it sways left and right, it is high GI. Because it's very soft. All soft breads are high GI. If the bread is multi-grain bread, very hard, and you try to flip it, doesn't flip, that's low GI. Because it takes time to digest. Okay? That's why Westerners, when they come to Singapore, they don't like the breads because they say the bread is too soft. They like hard breads. And you can see donuts, mashed potato. See, mashed potato, the digestion is done outside your stomach. They boil the potatoes, nicely mash it, and then it's very soft. When you eat it, actually you don't need even to chew right. You just put it in your mouth, you can swallow. And your stomach doesn't do anything. It's already soft and it's in the form of a puree. So it gets digested instantly. So mashed potato is high GI. And then, actually I can give a lot of examples of high GI foods. When you look at the medium category is what the foods we like very much. Cakes, pastries, pizzas, all these are medium GI. Mangoes, but again this mango, I don't know, this is from the Sydney University website, but the mango we tested was Thai mango. Thai honey mango. We have not tested the Indonesian variety, but the Thai mango is low GI. Okay, so mangoes are not that bad. But when it comes to diabetic patients, you cannot tell them, oh, mango is good, low GI, can you eat? Why? Because the carbohydrate is higher. So you have to, the portion control is very, very important. So when it comes to diabetic management, I will later teach you, there are certain tips how we can apply the glycemic concept for diabetics. And pineapple, this is canned pineapple, canned in syrup, that is medium GI. Instant oats porridge. Because it's instant, you look at the term instant or quick cooking, it is medium GI. But when you go for rolled oats is, the entire oats grain is flattened. It goes in between rollers, it's flattened, so it's a whole grain, that is low GI. This one is processed. Anything which is highly processed is mostly high GI, except for certain foods, for example Soyjoy. It's a processed food, but still again it is, the soybean is still, the whole grain is gone in. There is a lot of fiber, and this fiber is mainly soluble fiber because soybean has a lot of soluble fiber. That is why that is low GI. Okay, whereas in this case, in the case of oats, you just take the oats grain, it is broken into very fine pieces, but because the finer the piece, digestion is faster, it becomes, the low becomes medium. And the next one is low GI. There are tons of low GI foods. Pastas, dairy products, your legumes, lentils, any type of beans. Okay, it's low GI. And you have your salad vegetables, sourdough bread, vermicelli rice, kway teow, basmati rice. But basmati rice is a bit tricky. Some of the varieties of basmati rice are not low GI. We tested many brands in the market, only few are low GI. Highly polished varieties are high GI. The lower the polishing, then it's the lower the GI. Whole grain products like, for example, you can take your brown rice. Brown rice is not low GI, but at least medium, like closer to 56 to 60, around the 64. But when you take the white rice, it is 70 and above. So you have so many low GI products we can easily incorporate into your daily diet. Actually, rice vermicelli, we all eat it. That's a low GI product. Okay. So low versus high GI. I'll give you like this person is drinking glucose, which is a standard. You can see the sugar rises very fast and comes down. The same person is like, let's say I'm giving a high GI food. like a sugar candy, still closer to glucose, and I'm also giving a low GI, like maybe a vegetable salad. You can see the glucose is released very slowly, and also it doesn't go down to the fasting, it's still slightly higher level. So what happens? What does it do to the person? The person will always be happy. Because you all know a hungry man is an angry man. See, now I am talking to you. Some of you are feeling hungry, you'll be thinking of food, you will not be listening to me. Right? So, in this case, if you really want to concentrate, especially for kids, when they are going to school, give them a low GI breakfast. They will be able to pay attention. And this study was done in UK by Prof. Jaya Henry, he is another person, authority in GI in the UK, and he did this study with breakfast, just slightly altering the breakfast of kids in a childcare center, and they can see better cognition. The child is able to think, and the child is not cranky, doesn't cry, and so on. So these studies also prove the same thing for us in the workplace. If you really want to be happy, even your boss is angry with you, you be very cool. They cannot do anything to you. Actually, when you show your reaction, it's worst. So the boss calls you, just give a smile, yes, fine. So that means you should eat a low GI food. Okay? And no, I'm not joking, that's the reality. Okay, now low GI and high GI foods, when you look at the digestion, when you eat the food, try to chew it well. The maximum amount of time you spend in chewing, you see, when your jaws move, you have the cephalic brain. You know, these nerves here on the jaws are connected to your brain, the 7th cranial nerve. The more you chew, your brain gets signal that you're eating. Okay? So when your brain gets signal that you're eating, immediately your appetite hormones are slower. The level of appetite hormones will be reduced. So it means your brain knows you're eating something. So it's a gut-brain response. Your gut and brain are connected. Your stomach and brain are connected by your neurons. So the more you chew, your brain knows you're eating. Then it goes to your stomach. It stays in your stomach for a longer period of time. And then it's slow release of glucose, ideal blood glucose levels. It's not low blood glucose, you know. Low blood means you will not faint. Your blood glucose levels will be normal. So you're alright, that's low GI foods. In the case of high GI, let's say you drink a beverage, a soft drink. I don't want to mention brands. Okay, some of them are our collaborators. Okay, so when we just drink a soft drink, your brain has no indication what you're drinking because you just put in your mouth, you swallow, right? You try. Your brain doesn't even, the signals don't go to your brain. Goes to your stomach also, doesn't stay. It goes to your intestine and then your sugar levels shoot up. Okay, that's what happens. So you have no indication that you have eaten, so you're constantly hungry. You always should have your cephalic response. You have to chew your food, then you will eat. Eat slow. I think our grandparents will always tell, don't have a hurried meal. Eat slowly, but we don't listen to them. Okay, we always, everything is fast. That is why we also die fast. Okay, so what are the metabolic implications of high glucose levels? What happens when always constantly we have high blood glucose levels? So high blood glucose levels, you have many implications. It leads to hyperinsulinemia, which is high levels of insulin from your pancreas. And what does this do is, this has a glucotoxic effect on your beta cells. It is like a toxin on your pancreas. And this again leads to results of free radical damage. So free radical damage again, it's not good. It results in aging symptoms and all that. So decreased beta cell function, decreased insulin secretion. So long run, what happens? This leads to diabetes. You're constantly exposed to high GI foods. What happens? Your beta cell function decreases. This happens like maybe from a child, you're exposed to it. At least when you're in the 30s, you may get diabetes earlier compared to who is eating a low GI food. That's why when you look at our grandparents, our ancestors, diabetes was unheard of. They all got diabetes in their 60s and 70s. But now, as early as 40s, 30s, people are diabetic. That's because of the constant exposure to fast foods, mostly which are high GI. Look at fast foods. When you eat anything, mashed potato, is also served in a fast food restaurant, right? Potato is the cheapest vegetable on earth. So this potato is converted into something like edible, tastier. So we don't think whether it's good or bad, we eat it, and that's the implication of all this. So this also leads to increased TG, is triglyceride accumulation. Later I'll come to heart health, I'll explain that. So what are the documented benefits of low GI diet? Okay, there are so many benefits. What I am showing here is based on journal references, evidence-based meta-analysis. So decreases blood sugar levels. You can try it. If you have like access to glucometers, try to eat your Soyjoy. Okay, that's a standing example. Like you try to eat. You try to take finger pricks. No need to take like how we do every 15 minutes. Just take fasting. You take the blood sugar level. Note down your blood sugar level. Eat your any low GI food. Maybe I told you rice vermicelli, or it's very easy for you, Soyjoy bar. Then take your glucose after half an hour, 30 minutes, finger prick. 1 hour, 2 hours. Write down your values. Take a high GI food, write down your values. Then you will be convinced. So try to keep your levels in the moderate levels, not too high, too low. Then that gives a lot of benefits. So lowers blood glucose levels, lowers cholesterol levels. This cholesterol levels, you cannot see it immediately with blood glucose. It takes at least minimum 1 to 2 months to see the effect. Decreased body weight, heart disease risk decreases, decreased risk of type 2 diabetes, certain cancers. This study is now done by Harvard University with Professor Walter Willett. He's heading the big study on the low GI diet and risk of cancer, as well as increased sports performance. We did a study with Singapore Sports Council. Okay, I was one of the collaborators involved. I was the site PI. We have a study PI. We compared the effect of a low GI meal and a high GI meal on endurance. And the low GI meal is better. Compared to a high GI meal, they are able to perform better. Okay, the latest one just came out last month is acne, pimples. Does it help to get clear skin? Yes. So this one you can look at Sydney University's website. They have given the information on this. What they say is constant high blood sugar levels. Also they have given the biochemical pathways, how it's not good for your skin. So acne is not just by eating chocolates but also by eating high GI foods. So again, that is eating chocolates gives acne is a myth. It's not the truth. But eating high GI foods will give rise to acne is a scientific truth. But only one study has come out. So that is why I just put at the corner. Still I am not convinced. Usually there should be at least minimum 3 to 4 very big studies should prove certain things, then you can promote that concept. Okay, this is metabolic effects of low GI diets. This is a very busy slide. So what I'll do is I'll skip this. I'll go into each disease by disease. I will show you the thing. First one is obesity or overweight. What does low GI do is it delays your gastric emptying. That means your food stays in your stomach for a longer period of time. Increases feeling of fullness. So that increases your satiety, prevents overeating and weight control. You can follow this. Your weight will always be the same. If someone sees you, oh, I saw you 5 years back, you're still the same. That is because of low GI diet. So effect of high GI and low GI foods on satiety. This study was done with Changi General Hospital. And I went there personally and we worked with diabetic patients. We created a low GI muffin and we compared that to in diabetics and healthy subjects. Because there was one company who asked us to do the study in diabetics. So we did that study. We used a donut as the control. Just after eating, it comes back 2 hours. The person started feeling hungry. We did the satiety scale. We asked them to just give the degree of feeling of fullness, when do they feel hungry and all that. They do a 7-point scale. And then we did the muffin. You can see there is a prolonged feeling of fullness. The person did not complain of hunger. The diabetic patient felt full even until 4 hours. So this again is this study was published in a conference in Singapore. And this study is from the Nutrition Journal. It's a very famous study quoted by many, cross-referenced by many other authors. Influence of different diets of weight loss. They compared low energy diets, very low energy diets. You can see very low energy is just 400 to 800 kilocalories. When you eat 2 quays or 2 quail lapis, it is 800 kilocalories. The whole day you can just eat 2 pieces of quail lapis. Okay? And then there is one more, is a high protein diet, 30% protein. Low fat diet, all these were compared. And they also saw the maximum weight loss, how much waist inches were lost and so on. But this study, the only problem with this study is they show the weight loss in all these. But the waist loss was not seen in the very low energy diet. They couldn't see any difference. But are these diets sustainable? It's very hard. See, we are here, most of us work so hard is we have to eat as well, right? You also have to enjoy foods. You cannot tell, I don't want to eat all this. It will never work. Maybe works for 1 month, 2 months. After that, your diet goes back to normal. Your weight increases. It's a yo-yo. So that's why these diets are not sustainable. So what is sustainable will be low GI diet. So this study again, recent study, just 2012 study, only low GI diets produced a significant decrease in waist circumference, and also they were able to maintain the diets, a hypocaloric low GI diet. Means you have to reduce your calories, whatever you're eating currently, let's say it's 1,800 kilocalorie, just reduce by 300 to 500 kilocalories. Then choose low GI foods. This will help to maintain the weight. And this is also a very famous study by Macmillan and Price, which was published in Archives of Internal Medicine, which is a highly rated journal. This comparing different diets 1, 2 and 3 and 4, and to show the effect of low GI diet. Low GI diet 2 is the best. You can see there is a decrease in cholesterol as well. And the GI of the diet was kept to 45. So now low GI diet and diabetes. I'm not going to touch on this most because the professor will be speaking on it. So here when you look at it, decreases insulin resistance, decreases beta cell dysfunction, as well as brings down your hyperinsulinemia. All this will cause ideal blood sugar levels and better control and less complications. See, diabetes, the problem is, many of you, once you're diagnosed with diabetes, they just pop pills. And they're alright. They're like everyone. Eat everything, they pop a pill. Or they take, but if it goes uncontrolled for many years, it leads to long-term complications. Every minute, now we are sitting here, there are 2 people getting amputated. Okay, the complications are so high, that especially among Asians. So when you eat a low GI diet, it actually reduces the complications of diabetes. And prevention of diabetes is there, definitely can be prevented. So GI and the risk of developing diabetes, this study was done by this American Society for Nutrition, funded this study, published in American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. You can see here they have compared high, medium, low GI with a cereal fiber intake, and higher the GI, the relative risk of developing diabetes increases. This is over a period of time. And heart health and low GI. When you eat a low GI diet, what happens is you use glucose as the primary source of energy. Whenever glucose is used as the primary source of energy, you decrease your free fatty acids, so that leads to dyslipidemia, means you will not have high cholesterol levels, lower levels of lipids. Lipids will refer to lower levels of total cholesterol, triglycerides, bad cholesterol, LDL, but the HDL should increase. HDL, the good cholesterol, should increase, but the others should come down. So this leads to decreased inflammation, and also endothelial function is enhanced. Actually, we have an instrument also to measure the endothelial function. So we also did this study with the previous study. We used this instrument to also measure the endothelial function. So that actually promotes heart health. But at least minimum 3 months intervention is required. You have to feed a person 3 months low GI diet to see an improvement in the endothelial function. So what are the factors? Now coming to the science. So are you all convinced with the science? With the science, low GI works. So it is not like gimmicks or so on. And I think in the video or when the introductory speech was given, they were also telling there are so many research institutes under Otsuka, they do evidence-based research. So everyone is working on it. In fact, Harvard University, they are working on low GI diets. Sydney University is working, University of Toronto, and we are partners with them in Singapore. So all this is science-based research. So we are convinced with that. So how do we put this into practical applications in meal planning? So I'll show you certain tips how GI can be used. Cooking. I know if you tell me you don't cook, then that's a problem. Okay, when you cook at home, what you can do? Cooking softens food, so it speeds up digestion. So even rice, you cannot eat raw rice, right? We have to cook it. So cooking is processing. The first processing we employ to any food is cooking. So when you cook your food, when you overcook it, the GI increases. So in the case of spaghetti, when you boil spaghetti for 10 to 15 minutes, the GI is 44. When you increase the cooking time, overcooked spaghetti, which we all Asians like it. We don't eat spaghetti like Italians. Italians, it is quite raw. You have to really bite it. Al dente means it is, dente is dentures. Okay, hard to your teeth. So in the case of overcooked spaghetti, from a low it increases to medium. From 44 it becomes 64. Okay, the rice just cooked and rice double boiled or overcooked, the GI will be more than 90. That's why when you do porridge, okay, porridge is, the rice is double boiled, nicely mashed, so means your stomach is like a blender. So whatever you put in your stomach, the stomach churns it. But your porridge is already blended. So your stomach need not even do anything, so the GI increases. But porridge is good when you're sick. Right? Because when you're sick, you don't want to trouble your digestive system. That's why we drink porridge. Okay, so first tip is do not overcook. Okay, even then, for example, you have a certain food which was cooked in the morning, you're eating for lunch, don't go and again microwave for 3 to 4 minutes, you just slightly warm it and eat. Don't make it too hot and eat, the digestion increases faster. So next one is food processing and GI. Highly processed foods are easily digested and so it will increase in GI. I can show you many examples. Rolled oats, its GI is 51, whereas instant 1 minute oats, we just put oats, pour hot water and you just mix it and drink. So that is 66, it becomes medium GI. Corn boiled, you know, just the corn, the fresh corn, you boil it or you can roast it, that is low GI. But you convert this corn into corn flakes, high GI. See, corn flakes, I have worked in the big MNCs which produce corn flakes. You take the corn flour is made into a slurry, it is fed through rollers at very high temperature of more than 120 degrees. Under pressure, it comes out through slots. When it comes out as round, you call it as cocoa pops. By flat like sieves, then you call it as corn flakes or wheat flakes, whatever. So at very high temperature and pressure, it's called as extrusion cooking. It is high GI. So I can show you a journal reference also. So eat less processed foods. You can see whole grains are lower in GI. Whereas when you process, you disrupt the structure, you break it. From you can see, you can see here, low GI, this is whole grain. As you mill it, you go through the roller blades, mill it. This is white flour, your all-purpose flour, which you use for baking. So you can see the higher GI. As it goes up, the GI increases. Whole meal flour is also high GI. Whole meal flour is here. This part is also higher in GI. Compared to the real, you can eat wheat groats, which we don't eat it here. Turkish people eat a lot of wheat groats. And you can see food processing. Okay, this is I was referring to the fresh corn. Okay, this study was done by Jenny Brandmiller very early, 1985. when the GI concept just came in. And you can see made into popcorn. Popcorn is high GI. So next time you go to the movie theaters, you try to share popcorn. Don't eat the whole thing, you know. Try to share your calories, share your GI as well. And so this is, the higher it is, it becomes higher as well. Next one is acid content and GI. Acid lowers GI by means of lowering your gastric emptying. When I refer to acids, it refers to the acids found in your food. Organic acids. Acetic acid. Acetic acid is vinegar. Okay, you use apple cider vinegar, and then you also use balsamic vinegar to your salads, French dressing, all this as vinegar, that is good. It lowers your gastric emptying. And again, you have lactic acid in your yogurt. That's good. That's why yogurt is naturally low in GI, is because of the acid, as well as lactose is low GI. The lactose is converted to lactic acid. Citric acid in your fruits, in lemon juice, in all this is also lower in GI. So along with your meal, you order a glass of lemon juice without sugar. Okay, at least half the sugar. If you try, that's good for you. Instead of drinking cappuccinos and other soft drinks. And sourdough wheat bread, this technology, I think even in Indonesia, you can find in the specialty bakeries, they have the sourdough breads that is low in GI. Because you try to ferment the mother sponge, the dough, and you add it with the bread making process. This is usually in Europe. Most of the bakeries have sourdough breads. And the next one is fiber and GI. Okay, this comes to the question. When I talk about fiber, I am referring to soluble fiber. Soluble fiber lowers the GI, not the insoluble fiber. Wheat bran is insoluble fiber. But whereas the fiber present in beans, soybeans, green beans, red beans, kidney beans, all this is soluble fiber, it is low GI. Okay? You can see here viscous soluble fibers, they try to form gel-like structures in your stomach and so lowers digestion. So in the case of fruit, you can see apple, white bread doesn't have any soluble fiber, unless otherwise the white bread is made with inulin and fiber salt and certain things for low GI bread, we try to do that. And in the case of barley, barley is a grain which is very, very good, just like oats. Barley has a lot of soluble fiber, and the name of the soluble fiber is beta-glucan. It is the #1 fiber which is used for many, many functions. And what we do is we try to buy the beta-glucan extract and we add it into our foods to make it low GI. So it also lowers cholesterol. Barley has cholesterol lowering properties because of the beta-glucan. And the rice crackers, which is very common, all kids love it, that is high GI because of the extrusion process. So include fiber-rich foods like whole grain cereals, legumes, fruits and vegetables in your diet. And how fiber works, I think I just told you how it forms a gel in your stomach here. You can form a gel, it stays quite some time, so the digestion is slowed down. Okay, now this is type of starch. It's a little bit complicated if you're not a food science person. When you look at the starch, there are two types of starch, which is amylose and amylopectin. I'll show you the structure of amylose and amylopectin. The first one is amylose. Amylose is, you think of your necklace, your pearl necklace, you have all your pearls beaded together in a single string. That is your amylose. Okay? Whereas in the case of amylopectin, it is highly branched, a branch structure. So when your structure is branched, your digestive enzymes can easily act on them. It's digested faster. Whereas amylose, it is stranded together, it's a very tight clump, so it's very hard to break it. So when a food contains high levels of amylose, then it becomes low GI because it absorbs less water. The molecules form tight clumps, lower rate of digestion. That is why basmati rice, by nature, it has more amylose, it's lower in GI. Whereas jasmine rice has less amylose, high amylopectin, higher in GI. This is by nature. This is the nature of the starch, nothing can be done. Unless and otherwise, you have to genetically modify the rice, which is called as clever rice. It's sold in Australia. Singapore, we also have this. It comes with a tick. Clever rice is a genetically modified rice which is made low GI. And you can see potato, russet potatoes, the starch is a fast release starch. So it is high GI. Glutinous rice also nothing can be done. It's by nature, it is digested faster. So you have to choose the right starch. So how do we do this? For example, I'm eating a high GI food. I don't have a low GI food at all. I cannot find it in the market. How do I do? You can make smart combinations. By making combinations, you can convert a high GI food to a medium or a low GI food. I'll show you examples of high GI food. Let's take white bread. This is commonly eaten by everyone. Now Asians, none of us eat porridge in the morning, right? Even though it's high GI, but porridge will be better than bread because it is no chemicals added. But still all of us are bread eaters. So when you take bread, you combine with the low GI, which is I add some vegetables, I add some cheese because you need to have protein. Don't eat pure carbohydrates, especially for diabetics. If you just eat carbohydrates, even if it's a low GI just like that, it's not good for you. You have to always combine that with the protein because protein has a very good satiating effect. It increases the feeling of fullness. So you have to add the protein. So here I have used a low-fat cheese, or you can eat eggs with it, anything, whatever you want you can add, or even you can add your roasted chicken breast meat or so on. All that when you put it together, you make a very good sandwich, and this becomes a medium GI. But if you change your white bread to whole grain bread, then it is very low GI. So the combinations you make. So you can tell your subjects, if it's a diabetic comes to you, you can tell them monitor their blood glucose regularly so they can see the practical implications. After they eat this diet, is there a change in the value? Yes. Once then they are convinced. You cannot be always telling them, that's the difference between a doctor and a nutritionist. When a doctor tells, they listen. Why? Because they give a tablet or a pill. If they have headache, they eat it, immediately the headache is gone. So you trust it. Whereas when they come to you, you tell them, okay, eat this diet, you will lose weight. They will not listen to you because it takes time. At least they have to follow that for quite a number of days. So you ask them to monitor their glucose level. The glucose levels are low, they are convinced. Or if they lose weight, they are convinced. Or if they maintain weight, they are convinced. You have to give the end pointers. So without that, no one will work. We work hard, maybe the boss tells, you work hard, you get bonus, right? So there should be some end point or result to prove your concept. So without proof, no one will understand. So you have to give them certain pointers. So when they come for the next consultation, you have to see, okay, these are the pointers, have you achieved? So if they have followed, definitely you can see the results. I had my colleague who was 89 kilograms. We put her on a low GI diet. Now she is 64 kilograms. So it is just, but I can see this difference over a period of 6 months. Slow and steady decrease. We didn't do anything, just change a high GI to a low GI. Breakfast, what she was eating, we changed. Lunch and a few things. And we also made sure she was eating high calorie foods, made it as per her ideal weight, and you can see that. So we are implementing this concept in our cafe. We have a cafe within our campus. We are implementing low GI meals in our cafe. And we are getting to all our obese, 30 obese students have been registered for this study. It's an intervention study. We'll provide one low GI lunch meal free of cost to the students, and we are going to monitor their weight. So we have to show some proof for public to understand. So let us test your knowledge. So some questions for you. This will be my last few slides. Which is low GI? A or B? See, now you all know. Within 10 minutes, you're all convinced. Why is B low GI? Is because there is oat bran. And, okay, in A, there is banana here. Do you think it's bad? No, banana is a good fruit. It's very high potassium. It has soluble fiber. It has resistant starch. But it's slightly medium GI. You can still eat it, but it's a diabetic comes to you, you can tell him every day don't eat bananas. You can eat maybe Monday is a banana day. Tuesday should be a strawberry day. Try to plan for them. Eat a variety of foods. So I'm changing bananas to strawberry. Strawberry GI is only 30 plus, very low. Then I'm nothing else. I'm just leaving it. If the person doesn't like orange juice, I'm giving apple juice, but that has no change to the GI. I'm changing, the culprit is here, the cornflakes. I'm changing the cornflakes to something oats. Then you can see the meal GI, how does it change? From a GI of 60, it becomes 42. You can make a change. Now next one, modify this high GI meal with low GI options. So on your left, this is the meal. What can you modify? Can I change water? No, I leave water right. No problem. Okay, then. Can I change the vegetables? No need. Okay, it's nothing. Actually, vegetables are very low GI, especially green leafy vegetables. No problem. So what should I change here? The bread. The bread here is, it's a baguette. French bread. So the baguettes are, Subway. Whatever you eat in Subway, certain breads are very high GI. But in Subway, you have the one with, one with made with oats, heart healthy and a few things, and you choose the right one, it's fine. But when you use the French baguette, that one is very high GI. So I change this, or maybe there is a pineapple there, canned pineapple. So what do I change? This is 85, look at the GI. So now I'm going to change this. I take off the baguette, I put a whole grain bread, and then instead of the canned pineapple, I'm giving a pear, as well as I give something extra, which is yogurt. So with all this, the meal GI is only 39. Simple changes, you can do it. Next one, this is an Asian meal. You may think, why I'm showing all Western meal? Okay, this is an Asian meal. Again, vegetables, no need to change. There is steamed chicken, it's really, I took the photograph. The chicken is steamed chicken breast because it's lower in fat compared to, the chicken drumstick. Then there is white rice. You can see the white rice is stick together like a mass because it is fully cooked. Then next one, I convert that into, use brown rice with a mixture of white rice. The same vegetables, but it's stir-fried, present in a very nice manner, and with the chicken. So this meal is a healthy meal. With few options, little bit, it takes time. See, slowly you have to, I think before you become a nutritionist, you have to be a psychologist. You have to change their mental behavior. Every one of us know what to eat. Okay, the behavioral change is the most difficult. Knowledge is there, but you have to change the behavior. And you have to modify the behavior to think that health comes first. So if there is no health, no wealth. It's very, very important. But every one of us, you have to, every morning when you wake up, you have to think, oh, I'm healthy. I have to keep myself healthy. And that's in my hands. So you have to be like a health ambassador, then you can promote health. If you personally are not convinced, I think you cannot change the rest among you. So next one, which has higher GI value? This is maybe KFC, fried chicken drumlets, or there's one more. I don't know whether you have IKEA in Singapore, in Indonesia. Do you have IKEA brand in? Okay, it's a Swedish chain. Their chicken wings are the best. Everyone goes there to eat chicken wings. A person will eat 6 chicken wings at one time. They buy, it's very cheap, it's only $7. So they just eat at one time, it's fried to death. So which do you think is higher GI value? In this one, you should be given a very big hamper, if you answer correctly. Which one? The one on the left or the right? Or who says there is no GI value to it? Is there a GI value to it? Can I call it as a zero GI?
Okay, Ms. Kalpana, they actually do have a hamper for anyone who answers.
Yes, please. This one really no. Okay, 2 people will get it.
Okay,
does it have a value? If you say no, you tell me why. Can I test the GI of this food?
Pertanyaannya tadi adalah yang mana yang memiliki level GI yang lebih rendah? Yang menjawab akan mendapatkan 2.
Okay, what is the basic concept of glycemic index? What do you test? You test carbohydrates. So does
Ada karbohidrat yang sebelah kiri.
Sebelah kiri. Berarti yang low GI?
Yang sebelah kiri.
Okay. She answers the IKEA one.
IKEA one is high GI.
No, it's the lower one.
Low. Why?
Kenapa? Because the left one is high in carbo. It's fried with flour.
Yes. See, actually, you cannot test the GI of chicken. Actually, we cannot even test. We are not licensed to test. No one should test. But let's say I want to test. I can choose the left side. Is because you can see it is coated with flour and then it's fried. Exactly deep fried. So she's right.
Okay, selamat.
So anything with carbohydrates can only be tested. Yeah, but can we eat this because it's low GI? No. Portion control. You can still eat it because you know what is life without eating nice food. You can still eat it, but the portion control. Don't eat 6 all at one go. Stop with 1. Okay, GI and portion control. Okay, how long do I have? You let me know if there is.
How long is it? 5 more minutes.
Okay, so just few more slides. The quantity and quality, you have to have a balance. If both one is wrong, I think if balance is lost, your balance in health is also lost. So when you talk about carbohydrate quantity and quality, quality is glycemic index, whereas quantity, the color is gone, I had put a green color. The quantity is glycemic load. So load is how much you eat. Glycemic index is what you eat. So what you eat, how much you eat is important. So when you look at glycemic load, it is nothing but you should know the GI value of a food. You have to multiply that by the carbohydrate content and you divide by 100, you get your glycemic load. So any food with a less than 10 has a low glycemic index load. Higher than 20 is a high glycemic index load. This is very, very useful for diabetes meal planning. You have to choose the glycemic index food, tell them how much they can eat. If not, the GI has no work. GI will not work. So glycemic index should be low, the glycemic load should be low to medium. Okay, I'll show you some examples of, in the case of apple, the GI is 38, which is low GI. The carbo is 10.3. I get a GL of 3.9. So means it is low GI, low GL. So apple is good. I take watermelon. The GI is high. The only fruit with high GI is watermelon. Okay, 72, but still the glycemic load is low. So watermelon can also be eaten. Don't think, oh, it's high GI, I don't want to eat. You can still eat it because the load, it is very low carbo. That's why it's watermelon. There's a lot of water. Next one is, in the case of bread, you see only one slice of bread. If you eat just one slice, the load is 9.5. So if he eats 2 slices, it doubles. So for a diabetic, one time he cannot eat more than 2 slices. Okay, that's the implication. But if you have a low GI bread, then this 9.5 can be brought it down. The same thing, jasmine rice and basmati rice. You see, I change it, the load changes. So the quantity is very important when you plan the meals. So real world, how do you recommend? Simple. Tell your patients or even for us, choose more fruits and vegetables. Increase soluble fiber, complement high GI foods with low GI foods, which is the meal combinations. Choose fewer processed foods and use glucose monitoring. So all this, I think you know the answers of why and how. I showed you the different meal combinations. So all this, I think we have went through and you all know how to choose your foods. So take home message is, first thing is a balanced diet. So GI is only a tool. First, you plan your balanced meal, choose your carbohydrates, those should be low carbohydrates, low GI carbohydrates, not low carbohydrates, it should be low GI carbohydrates. And keep your fat intake moderate and have good quality protein. So the protein can come from, in a week, you also have to include vegetable proteins like beans rather than always eating animal protein. You all know animal protein is related to heart disease and so on. So try to swap that. So recommendations for dietary carbohydrates, 50 to 60% of energy should come from your carbohydrates. at least one serving of low GI food in every meal. So this is our motto. Glycemic index is for everybody, every day, every meal. It's not for sick people. It's for all of us. So choose low GI food so that you can avoid a sugar rush and you can always be happy, stay young, stay healthy. So this is my last slide. So the thank you, this is one last question. The vegetable which says thank you, is it a high GI or low GI vegetable? It's a pumpkin. I think she has answered correctly. It is high GI. You said low or high? Pumpkin is high GI vegetable. Okay? I think you can.
Okay, who gets this?
Pumpkin is a high GI vegetable, but pumpkin is high GI, yes.